Thank you for checking out Murder Dictionary Podcast. I just wanted to give a quick disclaimer that we are still learning the ropes of audio and podcasting in general. The sound quality and content will get better as we get more experience, so please bear with us through this learning curve. We focus mostly on the murderers, so some listeners may feel that the subject is approached too lightheartedly and with a lack of focus on the victims. Although we want to be sensitive to that, we cannot help but focus on the details or facts that we find most fascinating. And for us, that is often the life of the murderer and the details of the crimes. We appreciate you checking us out and hope that you are also interested in the stories that we are intrigued enough by to explore. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and don't forget to subscribe on iTunes.
Finding the right pros for home projects can be tough and spark a lot of questions like, how do I find a pro who can help? Will they do a good job? Will I get a fair price? That's where Home Advisor can help. From leaky faucets to major remodels, Home Advisor connects you to the right pro for the job in seconds and even helps you get a fair price. Read reviews, check project cost guides, and book appointments. Go to homeadvisor.com or download the free Home Advisor app to start your next project.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Murder Dictionary Podcast. My name is Brianna, and with me is Kelly.
Hi.
So before we get started, I wanted to throw out a few reminders. We're on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so make sure you check us out there and follow us for dank memes and serial killer info and true crime tidbits, breaking news, all that good stuff.
Don't forget a Backpage if you want some nudes.
Also, Murder Dictionary is listener supported through Patreon, so check out our Patreon. We put up some rewards, and we're also going to be coming out with some merch that we're going to add on to the rewards pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that. And I know a lot of you have subscribed already, but if you haven't, we would appreciate if you could click that subscribe button and take a minute to review us. It would mean a lot. We would love you.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. And if you want a simple way to access the links to our social media, our Patreon, or any other further reading on some of the stories that we're going to cover, I'm going to start putting all the info in the show notes. So I want to make it easy for you guys. So in the description or the show notes, in whatever app you're using, there's going to be links at the bottom to stories, to our social media, all of that stuff. If you want to follow up, then the links will be there for you.
God, you are just killing it. I don't know how you do it. That's so good.
The thing is, I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'm just like, this sounds like that's a thing that you should be doing, you idiot. 20 episodes in or something. I'm starting to figure it like 5 things out. So today we are going to be discussing grooming. Our subject today was a little bit difficult to research because a lot of dog grooming places came up.
Yeah, I immediately thought of my bush.
A lot of anal bleaching places.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of Brazilians.
Yeah. Barbers, you know.
There's so much and not enough of what we were looking for.
Yeah, you have to add like grooming, murder, grooming.
Right, kidnapping, yeah. All these other things.
Grooming crime.
Because grooming is not the right way to put it.
And it was like, dog groomer murdered someone. You're like, fuck, no.
It's like, what the hell? That's everything I don't want.
Close, warm, warmer.
So today we will be discussing grooming, and we'll start off with a little bit about what grooming actually is. So grooming is what predators do to manipulate their victims into doing what they want. So perpetrators often isolate their victims, create a dependent relationship, and falsely gain their trust through various power and control tactics. Predators get to know their victims very well and use that information to deconstruct them and rebuild them for their specification. Grooming is practiced by narcissists, violent predators, con artists, and sexual aggressors. They target and manipulate their victims. So for our purposes today, we're going to be talking about mostly like kidnapping, of course, because we're Murder Dictionary. It's going to be true crime related, but you often see similar cases of grooming or examples of that behavior in like online dating and stuff like that. And trying to think of examples like a sugar daddy relationship or something like that.
Yeah.
Just in case you were having trouble wrapping your mind around the concept. Anyone can be targeted for grooming, but the majority of grooming victims are children and women. An example of grooming from a previous story that we covered in a previous episode was Eddie Long from our Double Lives episode. Eddie was the religious pillar that gained his congregation's trust, if you remember, but through using his power and status, he was coercing the teenage members of his congregation into like sexual relationships.
Yeah.
So that's one of the examples that we've already covered previously, if you remember that one. So another example of grooming that comes to mind that I thought of would be the developing of a relationship between a sex worker and their pimp or trafficker.
Pimps and hoes.
Yep. Exactly, a great example of grooming. Often these young women are lured into a certain lifestyle or profession using gifts and money and positive attention.
And meth.
Well, all of that. Sometimes. It just depends on what she likes, you know. And then eventually they kind of end up working for this person. So that's one example of grooming as well.
Yeah, it sucks. It really is like a grooming relationship because when they get caught, you never give up your pimp. You're about to go right back to them. And they're the ones that take care of you. They, you know, where would you be without them?
It's a predator that is just building this person for their specific needs. It's so, So grooming can result in abuse, exploitation, abduction, and even murder. The tactics often employed during grooming are attention, flattery, ego stroking, recruitment for a cause, physical isolation, charm, divide and conquer in cases when there's more than one victim, gift giving, normalizing, instilling paranoia, especially in regards to outsiders, gaslighting, denial, misdirection, secrecy, treats, creating complete dependence, and rewards for desired behavior.
Oh my God, you're grooming me.
Girl, I'm just nice to you.
Now go make me some coffee. Run me a back.
Now, that was a lot of examples, but I was like, you know, they all matter.
I had to look up gaslighting.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun one.
What gaslighting was. It sounded like that whole flamethrower thing. Like, remember this. I was like, he gaslit that house.
Like Ricardo, the Christmas Santa murder.
Exactly.
Yes, it's not that.
It's not. I was way off. Way off.
Yeah, gaslighting is basically, from my understanding, when you convince someone else that they're crazy.
Yeah.
That's my understanding of it, is that you're using, it's another grooming and manipulation tactic where you're convincing that person that their reality is invalid.
Yeah. A common tactic of all my ex-boyfriends. I'm not fucking crazy. And then you act crazy.
Oh my goodness. Another common theme that you see in these grooming relationships is that the abuser and the victim often both commonly claim that their relationship is simply misunderstood when they are questioned about the grooming. Abusers use grooming and shared secrets to lure victims in and then create a deeply entwined relationship. The victim is gradually lured into revealing private information, giving up money, property, sexual favors, or engaging in inappropriate, unsafe, or illegal behaviors. In some cases, the victim is even drawn into being a co-conspirator, also known as forced teaming.
It can't be called that.
I don't know. That's what I
That's the worst thing to call it.
That does sound really bad. But, I mean, it all sucks. It's all bad.
Yeah.
So they're drawn into being a co-conspirator with their abuser and kind of participate in attacking other people. So a good example of that would be the Ariel Castro case.
Fucking hate Ariel Castro.
That one's so brutal.
Yeah,
that one, if you are unfamiliar with it, is where Ariel Castro kidnapped 3 young girls and kept them for about a decade. And then one of them escaped after having a child with him and called 911. And it's a really, really gnarly story. But in that story, there was grooming on one of the girls who helped him lure in another girl. So they were able to, as a team, kidnap this other victim.
She probably didn't mean to, but he was beating the shit out of him.
Yeah, it's part of the grooming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, he made that girl have that baby in a little pool, in a kid's pool.
And the whole thing, every detail, when they talk about it, I'm just like,
it's the worst. I think it's the worst story. Yeah, it's probably one of the worst.
God.
Oh,
terrible. In the cases similar to Ariel Castro, where the groomed victim participates in crimes, the bond of secrecy is reinforced with the perpetrator's threats, shaming, and guilt so that the victim is kept silent and obedient.
Kind of like if I go down, you go down type thing, right?
Exactly. That's often a huge grooming tactic, especially when the victim is kind of participating to some level. So a lot of these grooming crimes, I was thinking earlier, are evolving in a way, because I feel like some of the older cases that you would see were happening after there was already a kidnapping. But now, and it's an example with the cases that we're going to cover today, a lot of it's on the internet.
All internet.
All of it. Whereas before, I mean, any of the grooming in the 80s or whatever, it was all cases like, you know, Ariel Castro, Amanda Berry being kidnapped and other kids being there. And now we're getting to hear these grooming stories as they're happening, as people are reporting them being victimized via the internet, you know?
Great technological divide, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. So you don't have to be especially gullible to fall victim to grooming, because predators are usually very experienced and obsessive about reaching their objectives. If you learn the signs, you can successfully identify a potential abuser, though. So I hate to get all like mom on everybody, but I just wanted to say at the end, if you notice this behavior, trust your gut. Remember, if it seems questionable, then fucking question it, you know? You don't have to say yes to anything that feels sketch to you, you know?
Nothing feels sketch on the internet.
This is legit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, also it's just remember that you are never to blame for anything that a predator does. So on that note, let's get into our first case from across the pond. We have Breck Bednar, which I kept calling Beck, like over and over.
You even wrote Beck.
All the time. I crossed it out multiple times, like Beck, Breck, no, damn it.
Here's a fun fact. Did you know Beck is a Scientologist?
Yeah.
Oh, did not know that. Okay, yeah. I'm glad everyone else knew.
Shit ton of crazy, like, there's so many, if you see the list of Scientologists.
Julia Lewis?
Yeah.
I'm sad.
Right?
So sad.
That possible?
It's ruined my day.
Scientology Bednar.
Yeah. Okay. Wealthy oil trader Barry Bednar and teaching assistant Lauren LaFave moved from the U.S. to the U.K. in the late 90s. They had 4 children before the couple divorced in 2006. Lauren LaFave took on the role of single mother for their 4 children in their family home in Surrey, England. Breck Bednar was a student at St. Bede's School in Redhill in Surrey and a member of the Air Training Corps 135th Squadron in Redhill, Surrey.
I always forget the name of what that is in America.
Boy Scouts? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
No, it's like the Junior Marine...
Oh, JROTC?
Yeah, ROTC. That's what I was thinking.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Okay. Now I can, like, associate it better.
Yeah, no, because I was trying to come up with that term, and it escaped me.
So he regularly attended church with his family. His mother described him as relaxed, warm-hearted, great with computers, and friendly and with a very active social life. Around the age of 12, Breck Bednar began getting more immersed in online gaming. His mother became concerned with how much online gaming he was doing and was suspicious that not all of his gaming friends were a positive influence.
I feel like this happened to me, but the opposite age. Like, he was 12 and I was 21.
And your mom had to step in?
Everybody was just like, are you sure you want to play video games all night? And I was like, shut up, Mom. I just want to play with my friends. But I was a late bloomer, so that didn't happen until my 20s.
They understand me. Why can't you get me, Mom? My Halo friends understand. Because I know you're asking.
It's so true. Oh, man. Yeah, that was a dark time.
I feel like a long time ago I said something about Halo and you jumped in, like, knew the answer so quick, and that's how I found out you played Halo.
I've been in the Halo closet for a long time, but I didn't want anyone to know. That just means that I considered you a cool friend.
That's good, because that was a long time ago.
I just didn't tell anybody that I played video games unless they played video games.
Yeah.
So I just felt safe. Like,
yeah,
we can talk.
And
you were like, remember Mario Kart? And I was like, I just shoot people all night.
Do you remember Snake? That's as far as I went with gaming.
You know that new thing, Pong?
So good. Lauren limited his access to online gaming, installed parental controls, and tried to distance him from certain friends. She was most concerned that his personality and ideology was changing, and he seemed to be only focused on online gaming. Which seems kind of normal for a 12-year-old kid. I don't think it's anything.
Yeah. And I appreciate that she was trying to jump in, but this is like a major parental thing. Like, you want to set these boundaries for a kid, but kids by nature are going to be rebellious. So if you tell them, hey, you can't talk to this person, it sucks.
I'm talking to that person every day.
Yeah. And it's so hard to be a parent and find the right balance. That is just terrifying, because you have to say something because you're the parent. Mm-hmm. You have to set the boundary. But you know that when you do it, he's just going to be like, well, now that's my best friend.
Yeah.
You know?
And putting parental controls is like kind of, I mean, not lame,
I feel like any kid that knows dick about computers is going to know how to get around that. Yeah. Parental controls are the most bullshit thing ever.
Oh, my password's 0000. Thanks, Mom.
Like, I don't know. It's just too easy to get around for any kid, because most kids are more tech savvy than their parents in these days, you know?
Yeah, most of the time. At a church youth group, Breck had been introduced to an exclusive 6-person online gaming club. An older boy named Lewis Daynes was the head of the group. Daynes alone had the power to add or kick out members and controlled an internet chat channel where the members would communicate.
What I understood about it, especially because all the boys were younger than him, and he was the only one that was over 18.
Again, he said they were 16 to 25.
Nope.
See, he's probably lying.
Yeah, so he was the only one old enough, because what they were using to communicate was actually one of those, like, conference call services. Yeah. Where he would need to most likely pay for it. Yeah. And he was old enough to do so. Yeah. And then send them invites. Yeah. Because my understanding was it was the type of conference call service where you have to, like, send someone a password or an invite. That was one of his tactics to control. Of course, he's not going to admit to that, but that seemed to be the service that they were using was something only he could access.
Lewis was very different from Breck. Lewis was an only child who recently suffered the heartbreak of seeing his parents separate and having to live with his grandparents. Breck's parents had separated early on in his life, so he could barely remember anything before his busy single-parent home. Breck was outgoing and kind, while Lewis was troubled and reclusive. Even before his recent darker period of family turmoil, Daynes frequently told Bednar and his friends grand improbable stories about donating $2.5 million in Bitcoin to Syrian rebels.
He clearly didn't know about Silk Road. He should have been buying drugs.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, if he's...
That's the only thing I think of when I think of Bitcoins.
Yeah. Is just drugs?
Yep.
I think of non-traceable currency that's used to fund everything, and I really need to get into it. So I really like it.
Call out your boy.
Yeah. You know when some things are so, like, insane that sometimes you're like, maybe that is fucking true. Cause
yeah, like, who would say that?
Who would say Syrian rebels? Like, it's got a cause behind it, and he's like...
That's not the kind of name dropping that's just nonchalant. Right?
Yeah, that's very specific. That's ridiculous. He also told group members that they did not need to finish school because he would arrange extremely lucrative computer technology jobs for them. Also, not that fucking crazy. I was looking up the list of people that didn't graduate college, you know, and had technology jobs. We got Mark Zuckerberg.
He's nobody. You know what I mean?
If the 2.5 million in bitcoins is true, he's somebody, okay? Syrian rebels know about him, so...
I don't know. It just seems really improbable. But to a kid who would know that, to me, I'm just like, this dude, come on.
Yeah.
If you're 13, of course you're going to be like, damn.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
And he's got me a job. I would drop out of fucking school. I would. If that was my homie and I could be groomed. I'm so gullible. Again.
I think I'm a skeptic. It's just, I hear this and I try and put myself in that position of being a teenager, and I would have to be like, so maybe you should train me and then I'll, like, to try and get some information. Like, I'm going to have to see this in person.
Yeah.
But, like, find a clever way to be like, oh, I need some training. I need to learn. Or can you show me what the job is?
To get him to, like, fuck up and say something wrong. And then you're like, oh, this is a scam.
So I could catch him in a lie.
I would just put on Kanye West College Dropout and hope everything fucking goes well. Just party and be happy that I dropped out of school.
And then there's a dance party, and then I'm a dropout, and everything works out fine.
I quit the
I
job.
have a ton of bitcoins.
And I'm moving to Syria since I solved the conflict.
Dreams come true.
Lauren knew that Beck's personality shift was a result of the powerful new influence of his new friend, Lewis Daynes. Lauren began trying to listen to what was being said on the gaming conversations, and she was terrified by the things she was able to hear.
Snoops.
I know.
If you're a mom, snoop. You gotta do it.
I say don't snoop.
I know, but there's obviously something going on. I wouldn't suggest it in most situations, but clearly her son just, like, turned into someone else overnight. Like, of course you need to look into it.
Yeah.
I mean, what strikes me about this story is how responsible she is as a parent.
Yeah.
Like, she's really trying to be involved. She's really driven to give her son the best chance he has to grow up and be happy and healthy. And, like, she's trying to protect him.
In the way she seems fit. Like, when you start talking anti-government and all these weird ideologies that don't fit with what he's doing, which, I don't know, it's not uncommon for kids. Like, how many times do you hear from the girl that was in Girl Scouts or whatever, and then she became a goth kid, like, the minute she became into high school, and that scares the shit out of parents, and she starts listening to metal, and it's like, she's anti this and anti that. Like, it just sounds so
it's
familiar.
terrifying for any parent, but this does seem a little extreme to me.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a boy that much older than her son.
That's true.
That's the part that freaks me out.
I love Lauren. She's awesome and great, and I don't want to talk shit on her, but it just seems so normal. It seems like the usual...
It is hard to tell what the difference and the deciding factor and the line is between someone that, like, I don't know, just starts listening to different music and wearing more black.
Yeah. But she was smart enough to know, which is great.
Yeah.
So she was so smart that she called the police to file a report and get some help investigating the bad influence.
Yes.
Lauren explained to the operator that she was concerned that her son was being groomed by a perpetrator who was motivated to molest her son or convert him to anti-government or possibly terrorist beliefs. She was told on 2 different recorded calls that a background check would be done and her complaint would be looked into. Lauren felt that the operator was not taking her seriously, but she did believe that even if the operators lacked empathy, the police would still follow up on her report.
Yeah, of course you would believe that. That's what they said.
Yeah. However, the police records logs of the call states that she was advised to take away her son's access to the computer and ask the bad influence to stop contacting her son. The log concludes with cancel request, no further action.
So the notes after the end where they're like, we're not going to follow up on this, were in direct conflict with what they had directly told her.
Yeah.
But they had told her that they were going to look into it and that it met that criteria.
Like, she had, like, mentioned grooming, anti-religion, and anti-government, like, 6 to 8 times, 5 to 8 times each. or something like that. And I remember them being like, so what's the point? Like, basically.
Yeah, they were definitely not feeling her phone call.
Yeah.
However, that doesn't change the fact that they told her they would follow up. And that's not what they did.
Yeah. So the police did not look into Lewis or follow up on her complaint. In fact, the operator didn't even write down Daynes' name, so there was clearly no intention of following up. If they had followed up, the police would have found that there was a complaint filed in 2011 against 16-year-old Lewis Daynes for the rape of an 11-year-old boy. The case was dropped out for an undisclosed reason, but the complaint remained on his record, which would have been found if cops had followed up on Lauren's complaint. Creepy.
I mean, if you're in the running and you're 16, I'm sorry, but I didn't find any information on why it was dropped, which seems weird to me. He was still the suspect. From what I understand, it's not like someone else was charged with it.
The kid recanted.
You mean like victims often do?
Yes, but I like that Daynes was like, it's the media, and that's just, that's another, they're trying to get me, basically, and obviously
he's a real piece of shit.
Oh, he's terrible. He's awful. And he looks creepy as fuck, too. He looks like the male version of a porcelain doll that, like, is in my stepmom's fucking glass.
He looks like if Precious Moments came to life and tried to murder you in your sleep.
Yeah, you know how Chucky looks kind of normal as a good guy doll, and then he turns into Chucky, and his face goes crazy, and he has real human teeth?
That's his face.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that plus resting bitch face.
Yeah, and he's like really, like, when white people drink alcohol and they get that rosy appearance where they're all rosy all the time?
Pink.
So pink.
Yeah.
And he's got a stupid haircut, too. I fucking hate this guy. Very well spoken, though. I'm gonna say. I can't knock that. On February 16th, Daynes instructed Breck to tell his father Barry that he was going to a friend's house, then later that night asked permission to stay overnight. Daynes paid the cab fare for Bednar to come to his house, and apparently Breck was still alive when the boys ordered pizza on the 16th, which was at I believe it was at 6:40 p.m., and then I think he didn't call the cops till 11 a.m. the next day, I remember. So, however, the next day, Breck didn't arrive when he was supposed to go home to his father's house. His father, Barry, texted his ex-wife, Lauren, to see why he hadn't showed up. But after a while, neither parent was able to locate their son.
Okay, so when everybody my age is having children, and they're like, why don't you want to have kids? I just want to tell them every story like this, because this is exactly my problem. Because I would never sleep again. This is my worst nightmare. I am convinced that there's just some sort of kidnapping or illness or all these other things. It just is paralyzing. It's my worst nightmare.
He's gone for 10 minutes. He's kidnapped.
No,
He's
seriously.
No, he just took out the trash.
But that's my problem.
Calm down, Mom.
I can't let Timmy take out the trash. You have to follow him to the curb.
You're one of those white ladies with the kids on the leash.
Okay, I'm not that bad.
Yanking their kids
I
back.
would never put a kid on the leash.
I would, but just a retractable one.
I would get a springy one so they bounce back and it's real entertaining.
Yeah. like a bungee cord, basically.
Exactly.
We used to have those on swim team where you would put a bungee cord thing in your, it was really fun. They should make them for kids. But you basically dive into the pool and then you swim as hard as you can and you're pulling and pulling and pulling the rope. But when you're just tired enough, it shoots you back and you're just, woo, you just get pulled back. So I just imagine with a kid, because you know how they're all crazy and crying and stuff and they're like trying to run away. Just whoosh, pull them back when they're tired and they just fall right asleep.
Whoa, that is intense.
It's intense, right? It's like super fun. I want a leash like that. His father, Barry, texted his ex-wife, Lauren, to see why he hadn't showed up, but after a while, neither parent was able to locate their son. Later, his siblings, 12-year-old triplets, began to receive texts that their brother had been killed. The friends texting described photos of Breck on social media. They were told that photos depicted Bednar's body and were posted to other members of the 6-person online gaming group.
That is so cruel.
So fucked up. Thank God Snapchat wasn't around.
Jesus. Can you imagine?
Ugh. A friend from Breck's gaming group even texted condolences to the triplets.
That's unbelievable.
Police soon confirmed the stories by finding the pictures online. At the same time, all these texts are coming in. A 911 called... Ooh, it's actually a 999 call. That's okay. 911 call was received that said, I need police and a forensic team. My friend and I got into an altercation, and I'm the only one who came out alive. Daynes told a story that Bednar had run away to his house because he was fed up with his home life, but they had started fighting during his stay, and Breck attempted to stab Daynes, so he killed him in self-defense. Police and paramedics rushed to the home upon receiving the call, where they found Bednar's body in a state that told a very different story. There was evidence that a sexual assault had occurred before the murder. Breck's wrists and ankles were restrained with duct tape, his clothes had been removed and placed in the trash, and he had knife wounds in his neck. Can I tell you I listened to that 999 phone call?
No.
Oh my god, dude. It's so bad. Because he's a piece of shit, first off. You already know it. Not only he asked the lady twice not to interrupt him when he's not interrupting her. She wasn't interrupting him, and he's like, okay, I need you to not interrupt me. And that's basically, he says that right before, he's like, I know this is being recorded, I need you to not interrupt me. And that's right before so he basically says, they were chill, he was cool at night, or he was upset or whatever, and in the morning he tried to console him because he was so upset about his family. So he has a penknife sitting adjacent on his table. He uses the fucking word adjacent, so it's like, so you can tell he has this kind of worked out in his head that he wants to tell the cops, and he takes the penknife and he goes to go stab him. So Breck's trying to stab him, and he takes his left hand and he blocks it. For some reason, he has all these crazy details. He's like, okay, well, we're shuffling, and then somehow I grab the pen and I stab him in the back of his neck, in the stem of his neck, yet we're still fighting, and then somehow I trip over something. And then, okay, don't interrupt me during this part, because it's fucking crazy. And then he goes, and then somehow he remembered everything until like this. You hear him pause a little bit, and then he's like, I slit his neck. I cut his neck open. Somehow, if you're defending yourself, how the fuck do you stab someone? Okay, I get the neck, stabbing him in the neck. It's a fucking penknife or whatever.
Once it's in, run. If it was really self-defense.
Yeah. He said that they got to the floor and somehow he still felt like, he had to threaten while there's a penknife in him. And then he slices his fucking neck. And then he says he tries to resuscitate him. He puts him on the bed, tries to hold the neck wound and resuscitate him. But he's like, but I don't know what happens. And then he leaves the penknife on the floor, goes in, washes his clothes, chills the fuck out for a second, and then calls the cops. Oh, and then the lady's like, well, I need you to stay on the phone. I need you to still talk. And he's like, no, I hear the cops. I gotta go. Bye. It's so fucked up.
Sometimes it amazes me how someone so young can be such a dick.
Oh, he's so dickish.
But when kids go bad, they just go so terribly, awfully bad.
Yeah. He's like, why do I need to tell? I'm going to tell the cop this. Like, I'll tell them when they get there. And she's like, well, I need to hear some shit from you right now, so tell me some details. But my favorite is him. Okay, now don't interrupt me. I'm sorry, did you just kill someone? Because
I'm gonna let you finish.
Yeah, let me say something. He's so awful. I hate him. Sorry for that. I've listened to that phone call a bunch of times. It was great. This fucking piece of shit. Daynes had submerged all his electronic devices in water in an effort to destroy evidence, and when the police asked questions, he refused to provide any information. The investigators were able to recover some evidence from the destroyed devices. From the electronics, police learned that shortly before the murder, Daynes bought duct tape, condoms, and syringes online.
I just can't help but feel like this is me at Walmart all the time. Like, how many cashiers have thought that I'm a murderer? Because I'm just like, rubber gloves, zip ties, bleach,
dental
and Pez dispensers.
Yes.
Like, there's always got to be something really innocent in there.
KY jelly and an Abba Zaba.
And a hacksaw. It's always just the craziest combination of things. I just can't imagine how many people have thought, like, is she going to murder someone? Or is she, like, building a club kid outfit? Like, what is going on?
That's a really good club kid outfit. That's right on the money. So he had bought the condoms, the syringes, so it proved that it was premeditated, not self-defense. Mm-hmm. Daynes was given a life sentence with a minimum 25-year non-parole period. Even though inmates are not allowed access to social media and cell phones, Lewis was able to put out 2 blog posts that claimed his innocence and demonized Breck's family. He throws blame on the media and Breck's family for portraying him in a negative light and insists that Breck attacked him first. It is clear that he has no remorse for his actions. He will be eligible for parole beginning in his mid-40s. Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit, and he's clearly not well, but also, I don't know, he just doesn't take responsibility yet, I don't feel like.
He went from kind of not blaming the victim to like really blaming the victim's family, and it was a conspiracy theory, and basically if you knew what was on our drives, then you would understand why there's more to this that the media won't tell you. But
yeah, he seems a little almost delusional.
Yeah.
Like, he tells these stories, and part of it is for manipulation, but I do believe that he thinks some of them are true. Mm-hmm. And he has these feelings of self-importance, but he really isn't anybody special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not special at all. He's a piece of shit. I don't like him.
And he's going to be out, because he's so young, he's going to be out in his mid-40s. He's going to be the biggest douchebag 40-year-old.
Yeah, you know what sucks is that he's not going to need a college degree, too, because he's good at computers. Fuck!
I don't know. I mean, by the time that he's incarcerated for 20 years, he's not going to be good at computers anymore.
Unless he reads about
at the rate that things
true, you
progress, and with no practice on them.
Yeah,
you can read all you want, but
yeah, you need to practice.
Yeah, and unless he starts his own company, no one's going to hire him. Just saying.
Yay, I'm so happy. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, it is just terrible because, you know, Breck's mom was trying to do the right thing the whole time.
Oh yeah, she's adorable. I like her, and she's nice, and she's just trying to get it out there. And I mean, if you look at the website, it's all like these resources for parents, for kids, like if you think you're being manipulated online and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's just extra hard, I think, when the parents are so involved and she's trying to do the right thing and she followed all the steps that you think would work.
Yeah.
You know?
She fucking called it. She called it.
She knew what was happening the entire time, and that's devastating. She saw it coming from a mile away. It's just terrible.
My kids are never having sleepovers.
That's why I ain't having kids.
Nope. Yep. Ain't easy.
So both of our stories actually involve really attentive and responsible parents, which says that really it can happen to anyone. Mm-hmm. You know, that's kind of like the through line of these grooming stories. So for our next story, it begins in early 2001 when a 13-year-old Alicia Kozakiewicz met a girl named Christine in a chat room. Christine was an outgoing 14-year-old redhead who Alicia clicked with right away. The pair began sharing more and more personal information and confiding in each other. Alicia had to use a community computer located in the family room, so she often connected with her online friends late at night when her family was asleep and she would be unsupervised. She says that around the time that her parents brought the computer into the home, they spoke with Alicia and her brother about stranger danger. But when Alicia started making friends online, she chatted with them so much that she considered them friends, not strangers.
I can relate to this story so much already. It's just stupid when I'm reading it because it's the same time I was on the computer. I was like almost, this girl's a year older than me. I never got a stranger danger talk. I never even got the birds and bees talk.
I mean, I think you were raised by wolves, let's be real.
That's true. But I was on a website called Neopets all the time. Like a fucking nerd. And
Baby Kelly.
There were looking back on it, there were so many stranger danger scenarios.
Yes.
Like, for reals, everything in the chat room was ASL. Age, sex, location.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude. And then you'd reply with, like, your age, your sex, and your location. Of course, you would lie about your age. Like, I'd put, like, I was, like, 15 or something cool like that.
No.
Yeah, I had friends that I really related to and thought were amazing people. And
yeah. I mean, really, it's just that's what they're banking on. Predators are like, we know that these kids don't know enough, you know? And even in these cases where the parents are giving them a talk and are trying to educate them and are trying to, like, support them in this transition from childhood to adulthood, it still doesn't matter. There's still so many predators that that kind of know what they're doing and know how to manipulate.
My parents are, like, I don't want to say too stupid, but they're, again, not technologically advanced. They'd be like, ASL, what's that? I'd be like,
well, that's the other thing, is a lot of parents don't know. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why I would hide, like, the screen from my parents. I was like, they don't fucking know what this is. They just know that I'm chatting with people sometimes, so.
And Alicia's mom had said that. I was watching an interview with her. She was like, I just thought she was, like, talking to this little box that had her friends' information in it. Like,
exactly.
It was just her peers, people from school.
That's what my parents thought.
Yeah, and it's like, if you don't have computer experience, why would you think anything different? You know? So, of course she thought that.
And why would you think twice about, like, giving out? I would tell them everything. Yeah. Like, those were the closest people. Like, I mean, besides, like, school friends, but when you get home, you're just online with your Neopets.
Oh.
Lame. Ugh.
So Alicia and her new friend Christine chatted online about tween things like crushes, secrets. Alicia became really close with her and began to consider Christine one of her best friends. Eventually, Christine confessed that she was actually a 31-year-old man named John. Which is some bullshit, because you can't even get a creative name. Like, you know that an adult knows that that's a lie, right?
John Smith.
Right? You fucking idiot. Of course you prey on children, ass. Alicia was briefly upset by this, but very soon forgave him. And the pair continued communication after that.
Yeah, I would just feel like I got a cool... I'm like, ooh, I have an older friend. Oh my god, so cool.
That's
like
terrible.
That's awful.
She believed that whoever the person was had been a good enough friend to her thus far, so they should remain friends.
I get that reasoning. I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah. It's just, I think that the parents are probably teaching about stranger danger and about certain things, but they're not talking about look out for when someone's dishonest.
Yeah, my parents use the yellow pages to look up people, so I don't fucking trust anything they have to say. You could have gotten the wrong John a million times. You're calling strangers. I don't trust anything they have to fucking say. I would never.
Yeah.
They don't know shit.
After communicating with her new 30-year-old friend for a bit, he introduced her to a 40-year-old named Scott Tyree. Scott became her new close friend and confidant after Christine, or fake Christine John. Because apparently they hunt in packs and they just like pass the girls along. That's disgusting. Yeah. He was very sweet and supportive and made himself available whenever she needed a friend. If she had issues at home or school, she would share her struggles and feelings with Scott. Over the course of about 6 months, he would be there for her through disappointment of bad grades, fights with parents, and navigating trouble with friends or boys. Over time, Tyree was able to deeply understand Alicia and create a need for himself in her life. As time went on, the topics escalated from what Alicia was thinking or feeling to what Scott was interested in. He started fixating on boys and frequently inquired about sexual subjects. At first, Alicia was a bit taken aback. But in typical grooming fashion, because the pair had already developed a connection, she began parroting back the responses that Alicia knew he wanted her to say. Their conversations escalated to a more flirtatious tone, and she was even coerced into sending pictures.
No!
I know. Poor little thing.
That's when you just Google other people. I do that. I mean, I don't do that all the time, but
you just burned the spot.
Yeah, I did. I just Google other people's pictures.
And then send the other pictures? Okay.
Just type in female titties. And then
you look a lot like Angelina Jolie.
Yeah. I've been told that.
I get that all the time. Over the next few months, they would often message all night. And through this time, Alicia says he began to take her apart bit by bit and put her back together as the person that he wanted her to be. Creepy. That gives me the chills.
Yeah, I just got the chills.
Right? Whoa.
Look at all my arm hairs.
On New Year's Day in 2002, Tyree had arranged to meet Kozakiewicz near the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania home. After dinner, she complained of a stomachache to her parents and asked if she could be excused. Instead of going to rest in her room the way she told her parents she would do, she left the home to meet her new online friends. She walked through her neighborhood to the decided rendezvous point and began to question this decision. She was historically a very well-behaved child, and this was extremely out of character for her. Her intuition and inner monologue told her that this was unsafe, and she began to walk back home.
Always listen to that shit. Don't fucking
listen to that voice. If you do nothing else, please listen to that voice.
If you feel like you have to take a shit during something, that's your inner monologue telling you this is a bad fucking idea. Go back.
Jeez.
If you feel anything weird with your butthole, just run back, like, instantly. I know it's a bad thing because it feels like my butt, like, is gonna fall off. I'm like, there is something awry here. This is not.
We all have that thing inside of us that we know.
Yeah.
We know. We have that feeling. You have to listen to it.
Yeah.
So soon after she started to walk back home, she heard her name being called. It was Tyree yelling for her, and he coerced her into his car. Immediately after getting into his car, Alicia became terrified, and he tried to hold her hand to comfort her. But this had the opposite effect. Of course, because she knew he was a creeper.
He looks kind of like the same facial hair as like BTK, right? He's got that weird little stash right here and the stupid hair. Oh, he's creepy.
You mean receding?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
That was cold. Damn. I was a savage.
Oh my god.
So she was clearly freaking out, and he began to threaten her and said that he would put her in the trunk if she wouldn't be good and be quiet.
Good, do it. Then I can get out of the car and fucking run. You can't catch me, you fuck. Let's just open a door. Just fucking tuck and roll. I wish she would have tucked and rolled.
We need to take a self-defense class.
I tuck and roll. That's my self-defense.
What the best thing to do in any situation is.
Ball shots. It's always a shot to the nuts.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Thanks, Dad. Like, I don't want to say I want a bad situation to happen because I want to test it out, but I just think...
But you just know that would work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a job at a strip club and just see... I know something creepy will happen there, and I'm just going to pop some testes.
Wow.
What's your self-defense? Popping testes? I basically manually castrate people.
Sounds legit.
Yeah.
I'm on board. Now you need to make some, 5-part series of videos of self-defense where just everything is just punching people in the junk. Every single video is the same move, but you coerce people into getting, 5 different videos of the same thing.
It's going to be in the style of, Rex Kwon Do from Napoleon Dynamite.
That's exactly what I was picturing. That's our next project. We'll put that up as a reward on our Patreon.
5 ball tips to save your life. Oh, man.
They drove for about 5 hours from her Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania neighborhood to his Virginia home. When they arrived at his house, he took her to his basement, which he had converted into a dungeon with restraints and torture devices. In interviews, you can see her talking about being so young that she didn't even really know what they were, but they still terrified her.
Yeah, she's gorgeous, too.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. She's very well-spoken. Yeah. A lot of her interviews are really awesome, and she does a lot of education that's really, really cool to watch her videos.
Yeah, I want her hair. Hair goals.
And her hair.
Holy shit.
Over the course of 4 days, she was held captive. She was raped and tortured in Tyree's basement dungeon. We won't get into specifics of that, but that is what she went through over the course of her time with him. Tyree sent a picture to his friend the night he took Alicia, saying, quote, "I got one."
Oh, I fucking hate him.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He even filmed himself beating Alicia while she was restrained and crying. Then he posted that video for people to see.
Oh my god.
I know. Alicia said the day she spent there was like a horror movie. She was terrified by how sadistic and overpowering he was. The friend who was sent the original picture recognized her from the news and called the cops on January 3rd and January 4th to give them information about the abduction and the kidnapper's screen name. He reached out anonymously on payphone because he was afraid he would be charged as an accessory to the crime, which to me just means you're a pedophile.
Yeah, you're a pussy, for sure, and a pedophile.
Yeah.
Yeah, why did he think it was cool to send you that picture in the first place?
Exactly.
You'd be cool with it.
You'd have to be the person that was down with it, or he never would have sent it to you.
Oh, and then because he sent it to you, you know it's a national case, or it's a big case,
right,
so
you know
obviously
it's high profile.
you know you're gonna get caught eventually.
Yep,
so that's withholding information, so boom, you didn't do it to be fucking nice, you did it to protect your neck. That's not fucking cool.
Yep.
Fucking,
Yeah. This guy's a piece of shit, too.
And all his friends are pieces of shit. Yeah, oh my god.
The informant gave police Tyree's Yahoo screen name, which was Master for Teen Slave Girls.
What a fucking burn, first off.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's not funny. It's terrible.
I know.
I'm so uncomfortable.
I'm like, maybe she's going to stop laughing, but it's just not stopping.
Master for teen slave girls and you do this? Like, you're such a burn. I thought I was a burn, but you're a burn.
Yeah, he definitely had multiple profiles. Just, it's kind of common with grooming that they would have these different identities, especially online. Especially when it's so easy to create so many different identities. Yeah. Investigators enlisted the aid of a Yahoo vice president in California to obtain the IP address for Master for Teen Slave Girls. From Yahoo, they went to Verizon in Texas, at which point they finally learned the identity of the kidnapper just before noon on the 4th.
I really like these two stories because in the first one, there was like an incompetent police work, and in this one, they fucking killed it. Everyone
they were
killed
definitely
it.
on it right away.
Yeah.
The same morning that authorities had found out the identity of Tyree, Alicia says that he had told her he had begun to like her too much, and he would be taking her for a ride that night.
Even creepier, I think he grabbed her face and looked at her and said that.
Oh, shit.
Which is creepy, because I listened to her testimony.
Alicia believes that Tyree had intended to kill her that night when he returned from work. At 4 p.m. that day, Alicia was shocked when she heard people storming the house, right around the time that Tyree would have normally returned from work. She initially believed that the loud noises she was hearing were maybe his friends coming to kill her, like he had warned her of that morning. So she frantically crawled under the bed to hide. She says they shouted, "We have guns," in case Scott or anyone else hostile was in the house. And she didn't know they were there to save her until after she saw large yellow FBI letters on their jackets. At the same time that they were rescuing Alicia from the house, the FBI were also arresting Scott from his place of employment.
Here's a fun fact from the testimony. She was holding a kitten, and she had a collar around her neck.
She was chained to the ground.
Yeah, so she hid under the table, and she had a kitten. She grabbed his kitten.
I didn't hear about the kitten.
She somehow was cuddling a kitten when they came in. Yeah, which was really weird, and I wondered what happened to the kitten, because obviously that's an unfit home for the kitten.
The agents covered her up and brought her to a nearby hospital. From the hospital, she was released to the custody of Child Protective Services because her parents were unable to come get her in Virginia. The case was so high profile that the media frenzy prevented the parents from being able to take a commercial flight. The next day, the FBI arranged a private flight for them to be reunited with their daughter. Kozakiewicz was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and struggles with significant memory loss. She has trouble recalling the details of her life before her abduction. She goes to therapy and has trouble with people's lack of empathy for her situation. She is disappointed that some people blame the victim and don't see how grooming left her so vulnerable, especially back in 2002 when the internet crimes were so new. After turning 14, she founded an advocacy group called the ALECIA Project, which can be found at aliciaproject.org, or we're going to link it in our show notes, and also the Breck Foundation as well. Mm-hmm. The foundation focuses on children's internet safety issues, education about online predators, and preventing abductions. Alicia finds talking about the details of her abduction more triggering than therapeutic, but she does many speaking engagements because she knows how powerful it is for people to hear her story.
Yeah, and in her, testimony, she doesn't look she keeps it together.
Yeah.
She, messes up a couple words and smiles and, laughs. I would be shaking, and then if I mess up, I'd cry. I'd just stop and freak out. She's a strong lady.
In 2007, she testified before the House Judiciary Committee to raise awareness about the importance of Internet child protection laws. In 2008, she successfully lobbied for the passage of the Protect Our Children Act, and has been lobbying for the passage of ALECIA's law in state legislatures. ALECIA's law provides a stream of state-specific funding to the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. In some cases, state and local agencies are able to pull finances accumulated from misdemeanor and felony convictions, while others employ mechanisms such as unclaimed lottery funding. This money is used for training, task forces, research, and rescue efforts to law enforcement agencies seeking child exploitation victims. ALECIA's law has been passed in 8 states, including Virginia, Texas, California, Hawaii, and Idaho. Alicia says she will advocate for its passage in all 50 states. That paragraph was called Boss Ass Bitch. And it's been brought to you by Overeat. In 2007, Alicia Kozakiewicz was given the Courage Award by the National Center for the Missing and Exploited Children. She was also honored with a Jefferson Award for Public Service in 2009. Kozakiewicz has trained the FBI National Academy, offering insight as part of the Youth Violence Victims and Perpetrators program. In 2008, she released a book called You Are Not Alone, The Journey from Abduction to Empowerment, written with fellow recovering abduction victims in mind, in hopes that her experience could help others. She recently teamed up with Investigation Discovery Network, providing insight on internet safety and awareness. Currently, she is an Airline Ambassador's International Human Trafficking Awareness Trainer and spokesperson, teaching airport personnel to recognize and report the signs of human trafficking. She earned a BA in psychology at Point Park University, and as of 2014 was working towards her master's degree in forensic psychology at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology.
Woohoo!
So basically, she's my new hero.
She's the shit. And you know how I know I'm a terrible person? I can only hear Michael Jackson's You Are Not Alone.
No, I swear to God.
It's playing in my head and it's so awful that that's what
I tried not to think about that, but I was like, wait, that's that song. And then every time.
Children.
Just makes it so much worse.
Damn it, she's cool.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Go,
she has a ton of
hair.
Videos out. There's just a ton of information about her and videos. And again, we're going to link to her foundation as well as the Breck Bednar so that you guys can look into it for yourself. But she is wonderful. Mm-hmm. There's so much information and training and, you know, her insight into her experience and everything she's learned since then.
And she didn't let it bring her down. Like, she went to college right on time. So she was a freshman at 18.
Right.
Sophomore by 18. She didn't skip anything.
Yeah.
She fucking killed it. She didn't let it bring her down.
I know.
She's an inspiration.
Yeah. Inspos. So thanks again for checking out Murder Dictionary. Be sure to check out our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Shout out to all the cool people that made fan art and actually like us.
Kelly's in the corner crying.
I cry every time.
Yeah, thank you everyone for your support, for sending us any memes or fan art or anything that comes our way. We really, really appreciate you.
If you want to make me cry on a daily basis.
If your goal is to make Kelly cry, you guys are succeeding. Keep them coming. So thanks again for listening. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. All the links, again, if you wanted to follow us, are going to be on our show notes.
Woo!
So look in the description for any of the information from this show or how to contact us in the future.
Yes.
All right?
Woo!
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.
The Starlight Lounge presents An Evening with the Progressive Box.
Moon, yeah. That's Hugo, tickling the ivories. He just saved by bundling home and auto with Progressive. Gonna finally buy a ring for that gal of yours, Hugo? Send her my condolences. Hi-oh! This next one's for you two. There's a burglar in my heart. Thank you.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
And now, a thought from Geico Motorcycle.
It took 15 minutes to take a spirit animal quiz online.
Please be the cheetah. Please be the cheetah.
And learn your animal isn't the cheetah, but the far less appealing blobfish.
Oh, come on.
To add insult to injury, you could have used those 15 blobfish minutes to switch your motorcycle insurance to Geico.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance.